Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you so very much,
And
sir. It's really, really honored to be part of ISTD. The experience and the journey of last 1 decade with ISTD has been wonderful. And
let me just give thanks to Mr. Mukesh Jain. He has not been well, so I'm go ahead.
Thank you so very much, sir. In fact, the association with ISTD is absolutely every time makes me walk down the memory lane of how I started the journey of becoming a trainer and how I was actually striving to get the best marks, but then, end up becoming one of the great achievers, I would say. So I take that credit, and all thanks to the great trainers, teachers who had been made me, and given me the path of learning journey. So trust me, all the participants here, a warm welcome to all of you. And I truly, appreciate that you are taking out your time, and we are starting the journey of understanding analytics from the day called 5th September on the Teachers' Day. So that is one of the auspicious day, and I think it's a wonderful way to start. So with that note, warm welcome. And before I start, yes, a very, very warm thank you to both the sirs. I think without their acknowledgement, the journey cannot start. So we will be having certain protocols for the session. I'll come to the point straight. This HR analytics session is purely going to be focusing on to the learning journey. And we will be having the set of tips and hygiene, which is we will be using the various activities into the chat box, or else unmute yourself, but please keep yourself in mute to maintain the harmony. There are certain, activities we keep doing in our sessions to make the session very practical and live. So my experience in the corporate world, whether I worked with Vista Level or ICICI Bank or Honeywell or Moody's, so the journey was very much into the L&D space, organization development space. I being a trainer, I being a coach, the most important thing is analytics, which I actually, was breathing during my corporate stint. And one thing I realized that, yes, there is such a huge demand. And because of that, our inception of Prism Philosophy, which actually came in, and we are transforming people in the corporate world from this training program. And that's, I would say, you guys are all lucky to be a part of ISTD, and we are doing this particular subject, right? So our today's session will focus on the respective pointers, which you can see on my screen, which is overview of HR, the concept of HR, people and workforce based on the analytics front. We'll understand the benefits of analytics and the history, how it started. We'll also understand the importance, challenges, and the various types of HR analytics which is there. So that's going to be our today's agenda. If you have any query, any question, please feel free to ask in the chat box. And I'm going to see the chat box every time in between. If you have any query, I'm going to answer that time there and then. By any chance during the session, if I feel that because of the flow, I'm not able to answer a query, I'm going to park it and I'm going to address it toward the end. So just don't worry about any query. If you have, please feel free to reach out. All right, so let's start the session. I would really appreciate if you can tell me HR, people, or workforce. What's in a name? What do you understand by these three words? You can use a chat box or you can unmute yourself. Yes, anyone? I give 30 seconds. You can use your chat box. You can use the unmute option.
Hi, Anubha ma'am.
Hello.
People, workforce, or HR, that is the asset, or you can say the building blocks of any organization. Because if you have money, if you have infrastructure, but if you don't have people to work on your ideas, then these are all just, intangible assets. tangible asset, sorry. Intangible asset is your people, right? So
Right. I like the thought. Thank you so much. Can I have your name, my dear, and from which organization or what is your background? If you can also let me know.
Anubha ma'am, I'm Aviral Kothari and I used to work in some organization. Now I'm a freelance trainer.
Aviral, I happen to heard your
Yes,
name somewhere.
I attended your sessions in the previous semester.
Yeah, see, my memory is pretty good. I could remember that. Yes, I've heard Aviral. He was a soft skills trainer. So thank you so much, Aviral. I like the thought. And Vandana says in the chat box that is the resources. So all of them. So that's nice, Vandana. Anyone else would like to share? Okay, Soumya says HR is the human resource of organization. Definitely. I like the thought. Okay. Anyone else?
So I think all of this is related to employee experience in the organization.
Okay, so it was a little bit difficult for me to understand, but then I categorically relate that to what you're saying is about the people side and the HR side related to the organization. So thank you so much. All right. So we understand that these three words are a real great requirement and great words, whether we talk about the people, whether we talk about the HR, or whether we talk about the workforce, right? All of them actually makes up to a workforce, to an organization is HR. So I'll put it very simply. So the people who make up the workforce of an organization is HR. So it's everyone together that forms the good workforce. And when we all workforce work in an organization, that becomes human resource. So all three of them are equally important, but yes, people becomes very, very important because that is what is leading to the next step, right? So if I have to ask you, what is analytics? Anyone? You can again use the chat box or else you can unmute yourself. Whatever comes in your mind, it'd be nice.
Ma'am, may I?
Yeah, please just feel free.
Sonal here. To me, analytics is basically we are, collecting the data pertaining to the workforce and then analyzing and then reporting and taking necessary action for overall business performance. That would be, I understand as analytics.
Nice, great thought. I like that perspective, what you have given. Okay, someone else would like to share furthermore? So I see someone has written in the chat box and says, analytics, Aviral says, is squeezing out the crux of the data and using it in our favor. Ranjita says analysis of data and statistics. Beautiful, lovely. I like the thought. So, I'll just tell you and put it in a very simplistic manner for all of you so that you understand. And what Soumya is also mentioning about process of analyzing the data. So when I talk about analytics, it is basically, you will see it's there on the screen also. I've just written a little bit of it. But when you use it for discovery, interpretation, communication, for a meaningful patterns in the data, right? So when you are applying data patterns towards effective decision making, that becomes the key. So I'll put it in a very simpler words. I would say that analytics can be understood as the connection between data and the effective decision making within the organization. Okay, so you will find that there are various recorded information which is available in the organization, and analytics relies on the simultaneous application of, so I like the word what Soumya said, statistics, computer programming, operation, operation element, what we use to call it is operational research to quantify the performance. So when you apply analytics in business, so it helps you to describe, predict, improve the business performance, and specifically in the area with the analytics, which includes predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, enterprising decision making, descriptive analytics, cognitive analytics, big data analytics, retail analytics, supply chain analytics, store assortment, stock keeping, marketing optimization, marketing mix modeling, web analytics, the call analytics, speech analytics, Salesforce sizing, optimization pricing, promotion modeling. See, I could say so many of them. And as I had worked in bank, so the fraud analytics also. Okay, so you will see this requires an extensive computation. And you will see that all this thing works with the subject called big data. The algorithm and the software we use for analytics is to harness the most current method in the computer science, statistics, and mathematics. So ideally, the moment you talk about analytics, first thing is you should be strong in stats. Second is you should love maths, And with this, now we have started working with a lot of technological front. So that's why we use a computer science approach. And you can work on that. Okay. So let's further move on and understand the people analytics part. Now on the screen, you will see there is nothing called, I say, people analytics. I have actually, cut that line. Why? Because analytics itself is discovering, interpretation, and communication of a meaningful pattern. That's about it. And of the data. And data can be of any stream. So whichever organization you are working, you all would be having data. So whether you are a part of social media, then there would be a data. If you're working with Google, then there is a data. If you're working with supply chain, again, there is a data. If you're working with logistics, again, there is a data. So you will see that currently in a highly competitive environment presently, there are great talented people, and they are having a great valuable assets with them. And over the last years, the large investments were put into the tools and the information system to manage the performance, hiring, compliance, employees development in order to enhance their capabilities and increase their effectiveness. Now, how that could happen? Just by using data. So the data produced by, using various tools and systems, you will see that various HR departments, they are able to provide various reports from the basic level to the advanced level. And you will see the organization have already launched the digital transformation processes that takes things one step further to accompanying the reporting of the basic of HR matrix. So there would be certain words which I would be using, which is like the terminology you would have learned in the past sessions. If you feel that you would like to understand, please knock me there and then. That would be my request, right? Now, there are usually, you will find, you will be able to go through data from the various previous periods, which are usually, you will be able to see some kind of trends. Now, these trends could be a positive trends or a negative trends. Sometimes it can create a benchmark. Sometimes it works as a comparing the performance against their competitors. And you will find these things gives the real-time response to the people. Okay. So there are, you will find the real value which helps in driving the business competitiveness. HR analytics utilization needs to go much, much far beyond. Now, if I have to ask you, what is the difference between now analytics and analysis? Yes, you can use the chat box, or else you can unmute yourself and share this with me. Yes. Who would like to share? Yes, who would like to share? Let me just see here. So Rajnikant says, analytics is systematic examination of data. Okay, I like that thought. Analysis, as per Sakshi, is understanding of data with different measures. Okay. And Rajni says analysis is a broader term. Ranjita says analysis of data or stats we do, and process of analyzing the data we do. Okay, that is by Soumya. Analytics is okay, that was later. Okay, someone else would like to unmute and share. So if I say 22 participants now, sorry, I should say 23 participants are attending HR analytics session. Is it analysis I used or analytics I worked on? So analysis is a process, analytics is a result. Okay. So I'm happy to see the engagement, Vidyut is saying analysis is all about, he was still writing and putting into the description. I'll just see. So analysis is choosing the element for the cake, okay? And analytics is a subject and analysis is a process. Thank you so much, Vandana. All right, so let's try and understand and figure it out. So analysis, you will see and work towards the various connotation and implementation it apart. So let's see and understand that, right? Analysis focused on understanding the past. What happened, why it happened, okay? So if we figure it out, how many students passed out from ISTD into 2020? How many people got trained by Prism Philosophy in pandemic time? This is analysis. Analytics focuses on why it happened and what will happen in future. So past is analysis, future is analytics. So fundamentally, you have to be very, very strong with these two words. Data analytics, the moment we talk about, you will see it's a multidisciplinary field. There's an extensive use of, as I mentioned, the stats and maths. But the most important three things I used here was descriptive, prescriptive, predictive. Okay. So what exactly are this? So descriptive is when the thing has already happened. I use a descriptive element, that is, I use mean, median, mode, standard deviation, correlation, regression. That is what is descriptive analysis. When I say predictive, I predict that this is the data and this will happen based on the observation of the data. And based on descriptive and predictive, I prescribe that we should do this. So that's a prescriptive element. So again, I put it in a very simple manner. We go to the doctor. Suppose I'm not feeling well, right? I have a temperature, let's say. Okay? So I see that in the descriptive element, I see in the past couple of days, I'm getting a fever. Sometimes it is 100, sometimes it is 103, sometimes it is 100. Then I get a headache, I get a body ache and so on. So I go to the doctor. So doctor will do predictive approach. We'll start doing the things and understand. So we'll ask you all the respective information. Since when are you having the temperature? What all are the symptoms? Do you feel stomach ache? Do you have a headache? Do you feel nausea? XYZ, right? And based on that, we'll give you a certain test that is predictive. And then we, based on the input the doctors get will prescribe you some set of medicines. So that is what happens in the data analytics. Okay. So let's understand into the detailing aspect of advanced analytics, right? Which is where we use the machine learning, and you will see the techniques like decision tree, logistic regression, linear regression, multiple regression, classification to predictive modeling. These are all becomes a part of it. And you will also see the various learning techniques like cluster analysis, principal component analysis, segmentation profile analysis, association analysis. So all these things happen in the analysis aspect when we start working with the data. So don't think right now that these are very tough words and Anubha is speaking, my God, how will you do it? Don't worry, these are all normal aspect which you will be start observing in a day-to-day life, and start the moment you are attending the session and will start exploring the questions and ask them, you will see the things falling in place. So I see Sonia mentioning, yeah.
Can you please explain, can you just once again go over predictive, prescriptive, and descriptive? I didn't get you.
Okay, so I will have a very detailed session on descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive, okay, which is in the next class. But let me just tell you right now is, I'll put it with a very simple example that in a social media, people coming and started observing that people are shifting to the Instagram from the Facebook. Okay, so how do I get to know? I get to know by seeing this on the system that people are slowly moving. So we predict in this by doing the profiling and understanding that who all are moving to the Instagram, why they're moving to Instagram, right? You know, and other variables to it. We get to know that the functionality of the Instagram is more, the reach is more, the adaptability is more, the quick it's a response is more, and so on. And that's how you get to know the trend is changing. So you made a prescription as a senior that, okay, let's do one thing, let's club both Facebook and Insta. If anybody will post anything in Insta, will by default will come into the Facebook. So that's a prescriptive analysis. So that is how it goes.
Right. And my second query was, is this predictive same as inferential statistics?
Which one is inferential?
Predictive is same as inferential.
It can be inferential. It can be because the what exactly. So you tell me one thing. What exactly is inferential statistics? Because
Right.
there will be some.
Inferential, I understand this. We take a sample of the population, we run through the test, and whatever we infer, we conclude, we generalize that the same is applicable to the whole population. That is inferential.
Absolutely, what you said is very, very correct. So we inference about the population based on the sample.
Sample, right.
Right. So this is a part of descriptive, and it can become a part of predictive. So predictive is more of futuristic. Here we do more of an hypothesis element.
Fine, I got it, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome, pleasure. Thank you. All right. So let's further understand here. I would like to now understand from you, what do you understand by HR analytics, people analytics, and workforce analytics? Anyone? People analytics, HR analytics, workforce. What could be the difference?
Ma'am, can I?
Please, all yours, please.
Okay, so HR stands for Human Resource Analytics, right? So maybe HR analytics will see the analytics of what is the recruitment, what is the acquisition, what is the retention of the human resource, how much we are paying each human resource, what is the industry standard, how much
Mm,
less we are paying, how much more we are paying, what are the bonuses, the perks that we are giving. So that becomes HR analytics. People
okay.
analytics is whether the people in our organization is matched with our culture, whether someone is going off culture, whether someone needs more training, someone needs upskilling, someone is not getting the post he deserves because of the skills. So if someone is an MBA, is working as a, so that becomes the people analytics. How much
Mm,
the people are happy in your organization, basically what is their behavior, what type of trainings do they need, whether they need behavioral trainings or they need soft skills or they need hard skills training. So this
mm,
becomes people analytics. And workforce analytics is a broader term in which we see whether, that is my perception. So
mm,
workforce analytics maybe would become that how much our people are capable enough in terms of our in terms of our competition, and how
mm.
much we can improve our workforce, what kind of departments do we need more, what kind of departments we can dilute or we can dissolve or we can mix with other departments. So in a broader sense of terms for the workforce. So that
Mm.
is my take on it. Thank you.
That's nice. Thank you so much. Someone else? Someone else would like to share? Anyone? Okay, no worries. So you will see that what one of your fellow colleagues just right now said it very wonderfully and beautifully, that what is the difference between all three of them. He gave it with a very nice example, right? So you will find that to put it very simply, HR analytics, yes, it's a branch of analytics where we will use a matrix which covers all set of function of HR, whether we are talking about succession planning, training, compensation, personal, development, career counseling, organization development, anything that you say, talent management, talent acquisition. So every aspect of HR will come into it. When I talk about people analytics here, we are trying to understand and captures not only the employees of an organization but also the customers of the organization. When we talk about the workforce analytics, absolutely it addresses employees of a business, concerns like on-site freelancers, consultants, gig workers, remote employees, people who are working at any capacity. That becomes a workforce. And here you will find that we end up using the various statistical methods and metrics just to understand the workforce talent. So that is what the major difference is. So you will see the trends have changed over a period of time, and now you will see that a lot of people have started working on the people analytics and the HR analytics in a very detailed manner. So the analytics you will see in HR. So in 1900, you will see in an industrial economy front, right? We used to work towards a very simple logistic and supply chain analytics. You must have observed that how in somewhere in 80s and integrated supply chain, finance, logistic came very strong into being. But then over a period of time, you saw that financial economy was taking a very smart move. But 70s and 80s, you will see the economy and the web element started coming in a very different manner. And that's how the data warehouse, you must have heard the word called CRM, the customer relationship management. So we actually started understanding on how to retain the customer. We started understanding the profiling of the customer, who are my real customers are, and we started doing bucketing of those particular customer segmentation. And based on those segmentation, we started working on the behavior analysis pattern, and based on the behavior pattern, the prediction started coming in. Okay, so this is how the customer orientation took place in the 80s and 90s. And in current scenario of last 5 years, half a decade plus, I would say that the talent economy has taken a very smart place, and we have moved from industrial to financial to customer to talent. And you will see that organizations have started working more on the predictive models, talent models, and HR analytical model, so it's gone very specific, detail oriented into the subject wise. So let's try and understand HR analytics, in a great manner. So you will see that it is nothing but, one, it is based on data. Second, it is a science of gathering and organizing the analyzing of the data. The functionality of HR can be of any stream. I'm just using this thing just for the better decision making. And also, I would love to use various kind of softwares and technology. And end of the day, I make a best use of the data for the valuable insight. So that is what HR analytics is all about. You will see that we all can collect data from various places, right? So if I have to ask you which all data can be generated in an organization, can you use the chat box and pen down for me? Or else you can share. Which all data can we generate in an organization? Yes.
हाँ? नहीं ड्रॉअर में तो कॉर्नर में रखी थी.
I request you to please
Right
unmute.
side.
Okay. Yes, who would like to share? You can use the chat box, please. Which all data can we generate in an organization? Very nice, Sonal. Attrition, attendance, beautiful, satisfaction. Very nice. Thank you so much, Sonal. This was nice. Anyone else would like to share? Maybe
Yes,
you, yeah.
It's me again.
Yeah. Please tell.
So what I see basically, or what I remember, there are various types of data, but we can categorize it into a static data. We can categorize into a private or a confidential data, and we can categorize it into a continuous data. So static data is, let's talk about HR. So static data is your employee name, number, what he is doing in a department, everything which is publicly available on an intranet system, right? Now discrete or private data or confidential data is what is their salary, what is their income tax benefits, everything which is confidential. And the third type of data which is used in organization and which uses all this kind of tools and techniques like Six Sigma and Lean are continuous data, which is also known as Kaizen data, continuous improvement data, that if he is upskilled, what kind of efficiency or performance has been increased, and all these kind of math thing which is continuously being fed into the system, and it is giving continuous reports daily. So that is what I think of data.
Very nice, Aviral. You shared it so beautifully. The static versus continuous approach. Beautiful. I liked what there's somebody, I don't know the name. It's been shared by as iPhone. You can change your name. So it says organization climate survey data. Oh, that's nice. Beautiful. So you will see definitely various kind of datas which are being used. And Sakshi mentioning about sales performance, marketing campaign reports, and so on. Great. So let's try and understand the datas. Yes, we have datas where, and the data can be, retrieved from various places. whether it is an achievement data, sales data, whether it is a compensation, role, grade, demographic, performance review, travel, expense, buying behavior, customer data, attendance record, recruitments, retention, career management, training, compensation, and the list can go on and on and on. Okay. See, we have so much of data and data. So we end up doing end of the day's logic to it and the reasoning to it. And we need, for that, we need to ask the right set of questions, which is important. So you will see that we work on the, the data. When we say we work on the data, we work on the matrix and we work on the analytics. To put it simply, data is nothing but when the employee turnover is 13.5% per annum. Metrics will be basically there is a rise in attrition rate year-on-year basis. And analytics is we have noticed a sharp increase in attrition rate related to specific manager. So that is the difference between the data, metrics, and analytics. So you will see that if you're a part of HR or you're a part of sales, there's a certain set of dashboards which gets created, and that dashboards get created, which is called matrix. That matrix, the dashboard comes from the data which is there on the system, and then we get to know, we analyze it with the data, why is that happening? So that is analytics. So you will find that all this thing, data, matrix, analytics, every time, every day, you will be keep hearing a lot about it. But the most important here, you will see for the data, first thing you should know how it is captured, how it is stored. Is it comprehensive or agnostic? When we talk about matrix, you have to count in a real time. Ratios that matter so that the comparison can be done. Whether it is granular or comprehensive, again, you have to see that. And finally, the analytics, which will come in the dashboard, that is asking the right set of questions and predicting the analytics, right? Now you will see that when we talk about the, data, so there is all the three words, and I personally use these terms all the time as it's the biggest selling point for Prism Philosophy. And, we use all three words because every time whenever you hear them, these words seems to be interchangeable. And they fall, sometimes it fails to properly define the meaning and value of each. So my suggestion is understanding of each one of them is very, very important. Now, this is not to say that data, metrics, and analytics are not incredibly important. I believe personally they are. But the challenge is not truly understanding what it means to be a data-driven, what you should do, what you should be looking to achieve for its knowledge. That is where the important relevance comes. So the data you will find when we talk about is from 1 to 0, that is data. So the single input that enters your data warehouse for the use in tracking the success of your recruitment marketing campaign or a sales campaign or a HR approach, that is what we are talking about. So we are not at this point talking about the forward-facing measures that we begin making decisions, but on how we capture the process data for further manipulation and analytics. Okay, analysis, I would say. Also, you will find in this how you captured. Now, let me tell you something very honestly. One of the biggest challenge I have seen in capturing of data. Okay, so suppose, let's say in my team, I have 3 people, Mahesh Batra, Sakshi Khurana, and Manisha. Now I tell them that I need a data and I want any customer walking in our organization, I want you to capture their still data. So what Viral said, their name, age, their zodiac sign, their date of birth, their address, and the mobile number. So these are the 5 information you have to capture. Now, how do you capture it? अब महेश क्या कर रहे हैं? उन्होंने date of birth लिखी 01/01/2000. That's how he's writing. Whereas Sakshi is writing 1st January 2000. Whereas Manisha is capturing it January 1st, 21. All right. Now you see what happens is the captured. If it is not standardized, then it becomes very difficult. Okay. The second one is how it is stored. People will find it very boring to talk about, oh, why do we have to bother about storing of the data? But end of the day, it affects your ability to report on that data greatly. You need to ensure that your stored data is the most efficient way which can affect your access and the speed. If it is not there, it won't be able to make it a great work. And then you should also know whether it is comprehensive or agnostic, right? So when you are capturing the data, you want to ensure that you are capturing data across your talent acquisition strategy and not just doing it a piecemeal work. So you're thinking 5 steps ahead, a futuristic approach. So you should, make sure that there are no biases in your data. There should be a standardization. So data is the first step to fact-driven strategy. Please make it start breathing the data in a correct manner. The second one is what are metrics? Metrics are nothing but it's a recruit, we have a lot of metrics around us. Time to fill, cost per hire, source of hire, candidate drop off, and so on. But what are metrics? What is their value to the strategy? That becomes very, very important. So once you have the data, it's now time to look into it, the way you will put it into the count and a simple ratio, and then how you have captured it, whether it is in the count of real time or in the ratio manner or in a granular or comprehensive aspect. So any good metric will be provided in a real time and will be available to you on both as per the job level or as per the data level. It is for you. Okay. Now with this, we have the third one, which is analytics. Analytics, you now must have understood very well that it actually meets the very important aspect of the discussion, which has a deepest inner quest for knowledge, and that is where we work on analytics. So as a caveat, big data is analytics on steroids, but many that talks about big data don't truly do it, and they use the term just another post. So please ensure that the data is very, very important, because you are working on the dashboard by asking the right question, because you have to predict it. Okay, so when we talk about dashboard, it's really an excel at analytics. You need to first be able to have a access to all your metrics, and you will see that once you have that access, you'll be able to use it in the dashboard. And you will find that so many times we also do a trial and error in figuring it out how to use the particular stuff. The second most important, asking the right questions. So the biggest question around analytics is where to start. Sometimes people get confused because there's so much to be done, So basically, what should be measured, what should be tested, it's like you will be spinning your own wheel with what could be truly valuable insight. And then based on that, the predictive analytics, which is like a buzzword. But this is where we are moving as an industry. How do we take all the data metrics at our disposal and use it for a better to predict the future? Now, questions like falling, that can help you to plan a better future. Example could be, where are the best candidates going to come from in 2022? Right? how much of my career site traffic and applicant will be coming from mobile next year. So I'm actually checking by this thing. So this is how you will see the things shapes up and work on it. Okay, so which all companies use analytics in HR? So before I talk about it, any query, any question? Okay, so you see great organizations now, like it's like I've written just some of them: Cadence, Capma, Cognizant, Convergys, Infosys, Honeywell, Countrywide, ADP, IBM, Satyam. I mean, you will see most of the organizations have started using analytics. So common term trending in business circles today is datafication. That's the one word you will hear from everybody. Are you into datafication? Are you into datafication, and so on? So this refers to a using of the power of big data to transform and drive human resource process. Now, this is the effect in datafication of HR, with some set of example, let me share. Google use analytics for evaluating hiring processes. So the data from the 1,000 of job interviews gets conducted, the comparison of interviews, evaluation of candidates along with their performance gets analyzed by Google. That actually helps them to know and determine the right number of job candidates to interview for each position, as well as quality by which the pointer to success for Google is. Let me share the example of Shell. So Shell, they use it for a idea generation. Even we used to do it in ICICI Bank. We had, so we had worked a lot into the idea generation, and a lot of people used to give the insight about their ideas. So the Shell, what they do is the database of ideas they put forward by about almost like 1,500 employees over a number of years, which gets analyzed. So the originality and the idea generators were asked to play some, video games, and then they get tested on the human potential. And if the results are checked and it's positive, then they, actually implement it. So this is how you'll find that in an organization, the analytics getting used. So the key ingredients to analytics, you have understood now, it is data matrix pattern. It is the most important people questions, what kind of questions do they ask, and finally, how they put into the decision. That is the conversion, right? So you will see that HR matrix and HR analytics, I have given a very detailed orientation to it, but you all can read it on the slide also. So that matrix handle the tangibility, whereas the analytics is concerned with the more intangible data. Matrix gives information, it spotlights the the historical data, whereas the analytics is the consideration of both past and the present data, and it gives a great insight, and you're able to forecast for the future. And matrix actually helps you with an insider perspective on the organization, and analytics will give on the outside viewpoint for both external and internal environment. Now let's understand the history and revolution of analytics. So the industrial revolution, which I will talk about from 1900 onwards. So it was Frederick Taylor who got the concept of scientific management theory, where this methodology had a very strong principle of time and motion study, So I'll not go in detail about this study, but then you would know that how the Taylor used the time and motion study and the effect of industrial revolution on the humanity, which cannot be quantified, So the new method of specialization of tasks, concentration of capital, centralization workforce, forever changed the socio-economic business outlook actually. So, the Frederick Taylor, he was one of the leading authority in human resource and actually crafted the methodology of scientific management. And, he strongly gave the very strong concept of studying the task, scientific selection, training, and development of personnel. That is what the 4-step was all about. And then there was used to be a detailed, survey and aspect to it. So in 1912 to 1936, I might be missing out the year, but yes, it was a good 12 years of study. The study called Hawthorne study, which happened in US, Illinois. And in this, you will see the Elton Mayo actually focused on the human orientation aspect of studying the people. And in this, the study took place in the company called Western Electric. And these 12-year study was broken down in three years gap. So the first 3 years worked on the illumination of light. The second was giving the resting period to the female employees. And in the third, they worked on the, financial benefits, the financial motivation factor. And in the last, they touched upon one-to-one, interaction, that is the boss and the subordinates. So the Hawthorne study was very strong. And, from there, you will see a lot of quality initiatives like Deming philosophy, Kaizen approach, statistics, that is standard deviation, Shewart model, PDCA cycle of Deming, it all originated. So you will see that, the management practice actually started interweaving the organizational behavior and social science. And there was a very strong example of, it came in the form of book, How to Measure Human Resource Management, and it came in 1984, because it studied the entire element from 1900 to till 80s. And that is where the analytics started taking place very strongly. And you will see that analytics actually fueled by the advent of internet became widespread on a global scale. And it actually led to the recognition of people in analytics as a critical factor in an organization's success. And HR analytics, they had their processes enhanced by using the technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and visualization tools. So this is how the journey started, right? So this is what I covered as of now, that how analytics has taken place. So the importance of analytics are to obviously improve the performance, because as we know, the primary source is data, and it enables the HR practitioner to collate, organize, and analyze the HR data, which is related to the function of recruiting, managing, engaging, retaining the top talent of the organization for the better decision making. So the large volume of data which gets created by HR departments using software tools and technology. So in the second session, the next week when we will be talking about various technologies and the tools that you can use. And you will see the basic aim is to interpret, and the importance of HR analytics can be further. You will see that, yes, the performance is one that we always talked about. You will also see the identifying the best performance talent, that is by critical insight, which can be gained from accessing and analyzing the data which is collated with regard to the company's workforce. You can also know the attrition and its causes, the pattern of attrition, the commonalities, the isolate root cause that can only happen through the data. You can predict the in-demand skills and position within the organization, that how the practitioners getting determined to acquire new set of skill set. You can also predict the, demands in an organization, that is the position in an organization. You can actually work on the transforms the role of HR as a strategic partner now. Now, this is something very important, because if you are a part of HR, I would suggest that you please work on the becoming a strategic partner, or rather than just being a human resource professional, right? Because it is a very unique position to influence the personnel matters within the organization, right? So this is because employee data gains and it grants valuable insight, thus actually empowers the human resource. So HR can furnish the company's executive with accuracy of data, tested data, verifiable data, which is backed up by the policies for various set of HR functions that we have. So the benefits, yes, you will see that HR have started working to increase of the data and analytics tool in HR to make a better HR decision. And these decisions, actually, you will find that it motivates employees to work productively, and how organization culture affects the employee performance can also be seen in understanding this. Better quality of hire, one in the case of HR analytics benefits. You can run the various algorithm on the job seeker data, allows the companies to identify the best matching talent for a vacant position, and thus improving the quality of hire. You can also, see a very important benefit is the employee retention. And since the time pandemic has come, you will see that retaining a talent itself is becoming a challenge if the organization is not having a technological support. So my suggestion is that you can actually go through and understand, maybe you can read various articles on how to increase employee engagement, what are the various tips to it, how the HR as a strategic partner can be beneficial to the organization. And then we have workforce analytics, definitely, which we talked about, a vantage point to an HR department. They validate, the importance of business performance. And here you can back up the talent hiring, the retention, and the engagement policy, which comes in place. And you will also see the business analytics in HR, which can actually predict about the organizational thoughts, whatever they have for the future. So, their role of HR is to ensure a better performance and improves the business performance as a whole. So that's what you will see. But the benefits is one side. There are also the challenges, which is biggest challenge is multiple source of data. And every time you will see, if I have one boss and I have one dotted line reporting, trust me, every time your boss will say that, okay, get me data in this manner. Then again will say, okay, get me matrix in this manner. Okay, add this element to it. And you will see it creates a lot of confusion. So please, you should, as an HR professional, or for that matter, for any department you are and you're working with the data, the source of data should be one, and it should be standardized. And, so these HR tools, they're being used today They churn out huge amount of data every day without the clarity of how the data can be useful for a particular decision making. And there are many local challenges that you will find which might face while implementing. And I'm being very, very candid here. And you will see the same thing, faced globally. And it boils down to multiple source of data which caters to a very different functions altogether. And sometimes so many people are working in their own silos, in their own isolations. Becomes very challenging. There is also another problem is lack of skills and training. So the true that the data scientists are in the forefront of this data and analytics revolution, but the managers in even the CHROs, chief human resource officers, have a preconceived notion that HR department have a very little or no role to play in analyzing the data. But trust me, I would say that we guys, the HR people, are very, very crucial and important, because the kind of knowledge and the expertise we all come with, and if you can demonstrate that to your senior management, trust me, it will work wonders for you. But again, it all depends how you do that. Okay. So the different types of analysis. Yes.
There's a question.
Bataiye.
Ma'am, before we proceed with this HR analytics and workforce analytics and all the terms that you are mentioning here, I just had a query that, okay, it's fine that we are having HR analytics and tools and workforce analytics. How does a trainer can relate themselves with this analytics part, or how much part, or you can say what ratio is shared between HR and trainer of this analytics? What ratio do they share, and how do they bring it into actual work?
Thank you so much for asking this question. So you are taking my 5th session, which we will be doing it on this. Wait for that time. We have a special dedicated training analytics session, right? So that will help you. So today's session is to give the flavor of what exactly is the background of analytics, so that you start breathing about these topics. But yes, there is a very detailed session of training analytics. We will talk about the pre, during, post training, evaluation element, how analytics can be used, what all other organizations have done.
Actually, ma'am, there was a simple query, just a small query, that why or how I should associate myself with this analytics, being a trainer, learning all these tools and knowing about these things, how I should connect them first, then only it starts get imbibing in us.
All right, to put it very simply, let me give you very simple examples. Are you a trainer by any chance?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right. Are you working, or are you a freelancer?
I'm working also and doing freelance assignments also.
Okay. Now, shall we talk about while you're working, or shall I take it when you're working as a freelancer? Which one do you want to focus on?
As a freelancer.
Chaliye, theek hai, as a freelancer. Now, if I have to ask you, how many organizations are you training in the last 2 months, and what are the topics that you're covering?
So, ma'am, it is behavioral and then wilt and 2-3 organizations.
Okay, so you said 2 to 3 organizations, and you're doing more towards the behavioral and certain inbuilt session. Is my understanding clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, these organizations with whom you're training, what are the key requirements?
Employee upgradations.
Sorry?
Employee upgradations, upskillings, change management.
What topic? Now, upskilling in what topic? Which behavioral topic are you doing?
Change management, basically, or you can say happiness quotient and all these.
Okay, ठीक है. So एक आपने मुझे बोला change management. Okay. Now, if I have to ask you, have you done an analysis with this organization based on the real requirement of the people working in these organizations? What basic challenges they are facing in the changes going on in an organization? Have you done some kind of analysis here?
No, ma'am. Analysis is always given by us to us by the training manager or someone else. So
Absolutely.
basically, that's why I am unable to connect to the things.
Correct. Now what happens is, this is an extension of an arm as a trainer, and this is what you need to provide it to your client. That is how they will be waiting you as, yes, you come as an expert. So let's say this in organization, these three organizations you talked about, let's say they are from retail industry, one is manufacturing and one is the service industry. What are the changes happening in the pandemic time, and what changes are happening with the competitors? That will help you to give the better insight and make your sessions more impactful. So we'll see in the 5th session. My suggestion would be that go step by step, and there I will tell you in detailed manner. So we'll do the analysis bit there. Okay.
Ma'am, if I can add on, like when we
Yes.
understood what a trainer does, so it starts with TNA. So before imparting any session, we need to understand what is the requirement from the organization side. So HR analytics or data analytics would help us in understanding the requirement, is it?
Yes, it's one of them. One of them is TNA. One of
Right.
them is TNA. One of them is definitely TNA, which is
Fine.
pretty good what you need. Competency mapping is another one. 360-degree evaluation is another one. Within the 360-degree, you have 90-degree, 90-degree, 180-degree, then you can have competency mapping. Then you can have individual development program. Then you can have post evaluation. Then you can see the performance evaluation based on the training given. So there are so many things that you can do as a trainer.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome. All right. So different type of HR analytics. Yes. Organization culture analysis, capacity. So let me take one at a time. So when I talk about organizational culture analytics, it talks about the, a very unspoken norms, which is governing the conduct, principles, and patterns of human behavior, right? And we get to know what is going on at our workplace culture. And here you can detect the early sign of culture becoming unpleasant. So today I was reading one very good article about the Zoom people who are using in an organization. Now people have, the HR has started firing people of not following the right protocol during the Zoom. So that has started coming in. Then we have, another aspect, which we call it capacity analytics, which talks about the people who are going to use it. Employee churn, number of people leaving. Leadership analytics, the type of leaders has joined and expected from the leaders, their way of conduct and their way of executing, and the performance element. And finally, the capability analytics, which talks about the knowledge, skills, and attitude approach of the people. So in this, you will see in the HR front itself, you will see so many things are happening. So now the question will give you, and I'll give you an answer to it in a little bit manner right now. See, in retention, when we'll talk about attrition rate, retention rate, reason breakdown, index, cost replacement. Within the training, the analytics are like average training hours per FTE. So let me ask now the group here. I see some of you guys are trainer here. What is FTE? Who will tell me? And how do we calculate FTE? Anyone, please unmute. Yeah. Anyone? Okay, so the silence is the biggest answer. Okay, so for FTE is full-time equivalent. So FTE is the hour worked by one employee on a full-time basis. So the concept is mostly, you will see, is used to convert the hours worked by various part-time workers, employees, into the hours worked by the full-time employees. So on an annual basis, the FTE is considered to be 2080 hours, which is calculated like 8 hours per day into 5 working day per week. Okay, so this is how the FTE get calculated for a year. So imagine you run a company with 15 salaried employees and 10 part-time employees. So your salaried staff members will work for 40, 8 5s are 40, correct? Into 15 people. So total is how much? 600 a week. And your 10 part-time employee, they work for 20 hours and they are 10 in number. So that becomes total 200 hours a week. So my FTE would be 800 divided by total, how many were there of people working in a part-time of 40, which is 20. So that is how you calculate FTE. So when you are doing a part of training program, in training program, if 10 people are the participants, what is the opportunity loss? What is the opportunity cost? What is the benefit? What is the success ratio? You all calculate that by not only working on the learning effectiveness, but also on the result effectiveness. Okay. Another is gap analysis, which is...
Dr. Walia, hi, can I ask a question?
Yes, please, sir, all yours.
So FT, exactly what you were talking, do we really calculate FTE for training or we go with number of hours for training? Because FTE is generally goes for revenue generation that you works for business operations, as in number of people logged in
Right.
against one required man hours, versus when you specifically go for any contractual project. So for example, let's say you've got a business operations for 100 FTE business, which where a clientele to a service provider would definitely be like number of working hours are exempted in a month for any or every training. So do we really calculate FTE for
Right.
training, or we calculate
We can, so
man hours for training?
yeah, so I'll tell you, you immediately after the FTE, we do in the training bit, we do calculate the training hours also in this. That's how the FTE get calculated into the training space. So the number of opportunity loss, which is like if you are working in X organization and I call you out for a training program, and let's say this training is for 2 working days, which means 8 hours a day. So 8 2s are 16. So your 16 opportunity loss, which has happened to the organization, how much opportunity profit you will give it to me. So that is how the calculation and the analytics comes in place.
And that's for business operations. I mean, it's like for a business operation. So let's say if there's one project, okay, in my organization, when I say probably the way we calculate is FT specifically for business operations. I heads training vertical, and we generally look at training man hours which are approved or exempted. So any MSA, when you say master service agreement for any SOW that you talk about, all your FTs against any business operations are calculated over number of working hours. So which is like, so let's say you don't calculate 30, but you move it on 25 number of days, or maybe 24. So depending on 192 to about 240 to the maximum, wherever the agreement take place between client and service provider. So FT specifically you go for business operations, and out of that you always say for my TNA and business upskilling, you say as an organization, I take a decision, I being a client, I take a decision that 6 hours per individual per month is what I approve.
Absolutely. Now you're nailing it. So sometimes that 6 hours, if you have approved, so the another prediction here we work on that whether this 6 hour has become opportunity profit or not. So the operation part will again further come into it.
So that's for an effectiveness against the probably the training that you're delivering.
Absolutely. It's on that only. So that's how you will see the effectiveness of the training. You're correct.
Sure.
Is there any other specific thing that you have in your mind?
No, nothing. So as soon as you were probably talking about FTE, so since I calculate and I manage all those things, so hence I was just thinking that why are we probably considering FTE specifically in training while everything works on ours?
One of the options, one of the things that we work on the predictive and descriptive analysis is FTE, one of them. Second one is we do the feedback analysis. Third, we do evaluation analysis. Fourth one, we do pre and post training analysis. Fifth one, there are a lot of things that we do in the training itself.
Agreed.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So the same way we have it for talent acquisition, service delivery, and so on, So you will see the talent management scorecard, manager scorecard, engagement index, satisfaction survey, acquisition yield per campus or recruitment drive, fulfillment index, cost per hire, joining ratio, aging analysis. The same way we have for the strategic, the departure susceptibility framework, business effectiveness, and customer satisfaction survey. So these are just ballpark figures right now for all of you, things which can be used into the various segment of HR. All right. So you will see that analytics fits into the delivery model. You will see there is a business partnering, there is a center of excellence, shared services, which has been headed by HR. And the HR has a respective, departments within him or her. And analytics actually is one of the very strong element which is taken care by the CHRO. Why do we do an HR analytics? Definitely because we want to measure, we want to manage, we want to work on the performance, we want to see the ROI, because end of the day, everything boils down to the ROI. And have a linkage of business objective and people strategies. So right now, one of the fellow participant asked about the FTE into the training bit. So if you will see, we do talk about ROI aspect also into the trainings. And if we talk about FTE based on the business objective, we culminate both of them together. Okay. And you will see that, yes, various HR analytics metrics which are there, which takes care of the ops part, organizational performance. So we have already talked about them. That is the staff attrition statistics, absenteeism, percentage regretted loss, turnover percentage are some of the very strong matrices which has been worked by the HR department in various organizations. Okay, what are the challenges now? So one of the important slides, I'm going to extend my session time for next couple of more minutes. Please allow me for that. So the challenges you will see is we find it very difficult to establish the relationship between the actions, which is the variables that we have, with the ROI. Privacy of the data is something very, very challenging. People are not able to cleanse the data, and you will find that the cleansing becomes a very, very tedious task, and they leave it just like that. Then you will find that identification of the skilled pool of talent, and you will not find the great people who can actually work into the collection, management, and reporting. And we really have to spend a lot of time into the training people on this. And the voluminous data that we have, sometimes, we have an inability to identify that from the data. And obviously, sometimes, we don't get a buy-in from the leaders that whether we should work on HR analytics or not. So that's another challenging thing. And then, sometimes the quality of data, we are not able to get the right set of quality, or sometimes the data loss is there, or sometimes the data gets churned and people are not able to retrieve the data in a great manner. So that's about for the today's session. That's my credentials. If you want to reach out to me anytime, please feel free to connect. I see someone has written on the, please stay back. Okay, sorry. All right. So is there anything else or any query, question if you have? Yes. Yeah. Any query, any question if you have. Yeah, Saurabh. Okay, I thought you have some query. Oh, great. So I see there is no query, no question. So that's the wonderful thing.
Okay, I think they will be able to put their queries at the start of the next session also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let them warm up, right.
Yes.